Hello. This is going to be the second step in the multi-factor uh, portfolio analysis. What I've done to start off, pretty simply, is take my Sharp Optimal portfolio um, Excel file, and I've just deleted all the tabs where you did Sharp Optimal work on. And then I've created two new tabs. One is called betas, and the other one is called resid, which stands for the residual of the regression. So what we're going to be doing here in this is just working on the regression steps and forming um, these two tables, the beta table and the residual table. And then I'll be creating a second video, step 3, which talks about how to calculate the forecast beta. So the betas that we're coming up for, or alphas and betas that we're coming with here, are basically going to be the alphas and betas of the historical data, and then we're going to modify them to create forecast betas using VASIC method. Anyway, and remember, we're using the market model methodology here, not the single factor model. So we need to take into consideration the error term, which is this residual from the regression. So what do? I've already done a couple of these guys. I'm going to click here on the returns tab. You're going to come over here into data analysis and click on regression. And I've done DuPont already, so what I want to do is change my input range to Home Depot. I click on the Home Depot signal, or ticker, and then down to the bottom. And I've already selected the input range for the S&P, but I'll show you how to do it. We'll go ahead and click here, start on the S&P designation, come down here to the end. Then click labels. The labels is telling the regression that the first row in the column is the label that it's supposed to use. We're going to output it to a new worksheet right here. With this radio button clicked, you can name the worksheet. We're going to delete it. You want to check that you want the residuals from the regression included. And we're going to do a residual plot and a line fit plot just to take a quick look at it. I'll show you. So we'll go ahead and click OK. The regression gets run. We get a new sheet down here, sheet 9. And what we want to do is copy some data from it so that we can then delete. What I'm doing here, you see the cursor change. If we double click, it just fits, so it's a little bit easier to see what we're picking on. We'll take a look at the plots that came out. And here's the first, and here's the second. This is the residual plot. You want it to be evenly dispersed. You don't want it to be like a big peak over here. That implies that there's something wrong with your data. And this is the fit. This is the predicted linear values based on the market model, and these little blue dots here represents the time that the model didn't predict particularly well. This is a fairly good fit. Remember, we're using monthly data. Alright, the same monthly data that you had before. You should have downloaded the market as well. And we will, there will be a video that shows you how to do this for the Common Finch 3-factor model as well. Alright, so we'll keep going. What we want to do is get our intercept. So we'll click here where it says intercept. That's the coefficient that we're interested in. Control C to copy. Come over here to our betas and go ahead and paste it. Back to sheet 9, we want the standard error. Control C to copy. Come over to our betas and we'll paste it. Now we want the coefficient. This is the beta of the stock. Control C to copy. We'll come back here to our and copy it into our betas column. And then we also want the standard error again. Control C to copy. Come back to our betas and paste. Control V. And finally, what we're looking for is the standard error of the regression. Control C to copy. Come over here to betas and I'm going to go ahead and paste. Next thing we want is the residuals, so that's going to be this column right here. Highlight down, again, Control C to copy, come over to the residuals page. This is for Home Depot. Control V to paste. What we're going to end up doing is a variance covariance matrix out of this residual to modify our betas and our overall portfolio risk. That'll be in another video. So that's one example. We'll come back here and we're just going to go ahead and delete sheet 9. We've got all the data that we want from it. And we don't want to get a bunch of sheets that have regression information on it. That's why I'm doing copies and pastes as opposed to using equations for the equal. Come back into our data solver. We've got one more regression to run, data analysis I mean. I'll go ahead and click on regressions. The S&P is already highlighted, so all we're going to do is change this to our MasterCard down at the bottom. Go ahead, all the other checkboxes are taken care of. So we'll go ahead and run the regression. And again, a quick look at our residuals. These are pretty good. This is probably the only point that's a little bit odd. And this represents our fit positive sloping line. Looks, again, fairly good. And then, of course, the coefficient of S&P. Now we want to get our data copied over again, so we're going to start with our alpha, which is the intercept. Come back and do our standard error. Our beta coefficient, Control C. Our beta standard error. And then the standard error of the regression, Control C. And finally we want our residuals. Okay. We've got all the data that we're looking for. We'll go ahead, sheet 10, and delete. Again, we don't need to keep information that we don't want in our spreadsheet. Come back to our betas. We need to do a little cleanup here, make sure things look nice and neat so that it's easy to follow in the future. No borders that. We're going to go ahead and put a line here on the bottom and a second line here on the bottom. And then on our residuals, we're just going to throw a line in here so we can focus on our results as they're needed. And then finally, we're going to go ahead and save this. So ultimately, what we want to do is reform the portfolio worksheet. As I mentioned, go ahead and delete them now. We'll copy it back in just to have the format that's there. And then we're going to rebuild our expected return functions based on our new beta estimate. So DuPont is a little bit lower, MasterCard is lower. Basically, the market model has reduced all the estimates of beta, and then we're going to adjust these even more. All right, so that's it. The next step is going to be to, these are our historic estimates of alpha and beta, and we're going to use the methods of Chapter 7 to modify those estimates and create forecast betas. All right, thank you very much. Talk to you later. Bye.